What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, man. So, Caitlin Clark has revealed to ESPN that she has been dealing with some mental health issues. Now, this is very shocking. I feel like this is a very big story. Mental health is wealth. I want you guys to know that. But something like this is very strange. You don't hear this coming from like great players and stuff like that. So, for her to open up about her mental health is everything. And we're not going to waste any time, man. Let's jump right into this story. So, Caitlin Clark did an exclusive interview with ESPN. I believe it might have came out already, but let's pull up this article right here, man, because this is profound. So, Kendra Andrews was the one that wrote this article. It's being reported that Caitlin Clark still getting over mental hurdle of trusting her body. So, if you guys do remember Caitlin Clark last year, which we all know was riddled with injuries, riddled groin, ankle. Feel like injuries could not shut her down. Hell, we still talking about Caitlin Clark potentially getting an injury. Knock on wood, but yeah, man. So I bet you that played a pivotal role in her mental health. But let's dive into this. Let's read it. It stated 10 months after suffering season-ending injuries, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark is still overcoming the mental aspect of making a comeback. She stated, I think the hardest part of injury is something I'm still really battling and almost struggling with is just the mental hump of getting over everything, Caitlin Clark said on Wednesday before the Fever game. Now, the Indiana Fever did beat the Los Angeles Sparks. She goes on to say, I understand my body too well to a point now, she stated, and it's something I wasn't in touch with enough before my injuries, and now I understand it very well. You just become hyper cautious about certain things. Now, before Wednesday, Caitlin Clark played just one WNBA game since she was shut down July 13th, 2025. Now, after the game, Caitlin Clark also went on to say her back's out of line pretty quickly and that her trips off the bench were to get my back put back into place a little bit. So that is what it is. So Caitlin Clark back is out of line. Now I do know this is a very common thing, and for her to be, it just make me wonder the seriousness of it all because that's a pretty common situation for your back. Now, Caitlin Clark went on to go a little bit more in depth with her back. She stated that moment where my back tightened up, I think I almost got confidence from that because I came back in and I played 8 more minutes. So I felt great. Clark stated Wednesday, it's something I could take confidence from, but it's going to take me a little bit to really get over the mental hurdle of trusting my body. So, based off what she's saying here, is that she's definitely dealing with some mental issues, which I possibly believe anybody would. If you think about everything that happened last year regarding Caitlin Clark injury, it's kind of hard for us not to relate to her from that standpoint. This young lady balled out in college, never ever suffered an injury to our knowledge of her whole basketball career, collegiate or professionally. And for her to have that injury, you would expect some type of mental, I would say, impact. Anybody would. But moving on to another story, the Indiana Fever do play today. They released the injury report last night, and they have no injuries going into this game. It says status reports for tomorrow game, which is today. There is no injuries. Let's read some of these comments. Yeah, y'all, another great report. Putting limits on CC is like Michael Jordan having a concert but not being allowed to dance. Nobody wants to see that. So fans is still feeling the type of way with the Indiana Fever organization, just like we talked about on Whitlock. It's clear as day that there has been a system in place to kind of slow Caitlin Clark down or kind of, I don't know, playing to the point to where they're not letting her be herself. And that's like shooting those logo threes and getting going. A lot of us want to see Caitlin Clark getting going. A lot of us want to see those logo threes, and for whatever reason, the Indiana Fever is not allowing her to do that. And it's just very interesting, man. I feel like it is very interesting moving forward with how this season is going to go with the Indiana Fever. I would like to see Caitlin Clark go back to the pick and roll, but ultimately we don't know. Hopefully we see it tonight. Maybe it was just a reason why they didn't run with that pick and roll just like how they normally would, but I don't know, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. They got the Washington Mystics tonight, and they should get this dub. They should definitely get this one off. But at the end of the day, with Stephanie White, I don't know what we gonna see, man. Who knows what we gonna see? Because we ultimately know that they lost to the Dallas Wings. Now, the Dallas Wings has yet to win a game since beating the Indiana Fever, and that's just shocking in itself. They having locker room woes, allegedly, based on what their head coach has been saying online. Let's pull it up real quick because he definitely spoke about the locker room hurdles. Wings coach says selfishness comment signifies early growing pains. So the Wings is definitely struggling. I possibly will be covering the Dallas Wings on the channel for the duration of the season. I think it's something that we have to pay attention to. Let's listen to some of this press conference from the Dallas Wings head coach, Jose Fernandez. Right now, let me get it pulled up. Let me play some of it.
Film's not going to lie. Film's not going to lie. You know, coaches accuse, right? And even players accuse, but the film's going to convict our effort. Did we get over ball screens? Did we rotate? Did we cover backside block? What was our effort? You know? So, and then they got to look at themselves and hold each other accountable in the film room and in the locker room. And when that happens, you have a great locker room. And then things change.
Hey, Coach. Earlier you were talking about some of the good things that Maddie was doing. I know you just talked about the minutes and stuff like that. But what went behind the decision to not play her in most of the fourth when you needed some of those baskets, and she was doing that when she was on the court?
She did, but you know what? We came out of halftime in pick and roll coverage, and we give up 2 threes. So that's what happened there.
So that was the coach in this.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't the issue. Wasn't getting more. You know, we don't have a problem scoring, right? We scored what 86, 88, whatever it was. That wasn't the problem. The problem was on the defensive end. Did she have a great first half? Yes, that's why she started in the second half. But we felt that we needed to go in a different direction defensively.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
Also, when you took out AZ,
right?
You just said defense. You wanted defense.
I thought she had a good game. She played what 19, 20 minutes for someone that hasn't practiced last couple days. It was good, and we're easing her into her being a bigger part and getting more minutes.
What was your assessment on her defense?
I thought she was good. You know, that's why we challenged that call. I thought it was clean up top, right? But apparently they disagreed and said there was lower body contact.
Do you feel like you could have used her defense at the end with Olivia?
No, I mean, Isaiah James is a good defender. You know, like Odyssey Sims is a good defender.
Coach, how much of the little mistakes do you chalk up to, you know, a little bit of the chemistry still developing, the communication still developing, and, you know, playing with each other still developing early in the season?
Those are both, you know, we can chalk it up to that, but I think those are excuses. You know, bottom line is, you know what, you got to get stops, defend your guy, rotate to the backside. We got, you know, Atlanta came in here and they imposed their will and they were tough, right? Howard, Courtney, McBride, they were tough. They were toughness. They made plays and they got stuff off the glass.
Last one, Jeff.
I just want to